Hey guys, and welcome back to another, I almost said amnesia. Basement collection. I was just saying it. So now we're gonna play Coil. Open up and let me in. Don't know what this is about. Uh, I'm. When she awoke from the coil, time didn't wait for her. It just watched her whimper as it crushed her ego, cracking her just enough to reach inside. What is this game about? Oh my god. Are you kidding me? It's about a sperm and an egg. What the hell? What am I playing? He whispered as she was there. This will make you remember that I'm a part of you. Each cell is marked by my name. You can't ever leave me. I'm all that you have. What? What is this about? Oh my god. What's my purpose? I do not know. What do I do? Do I separate them? Do I just let them be? What do I do? When he released her, she could feel his wet hair run through her fingers. His wet hair was she just descended into the darkness, his face just darted by the distance faded into the night. She was alone, yet she could still feel him inside her. The feeling was comforting but his presence scared her. She knew he was still there, watching her just out of the window. Oh my glob. What the freak? No, you get away, get away. No, get away. Get away. Get away. What are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? You're so weird. What are you doing? Just go. I'm thinking I go to the bottom? How do I control you? Do I just like rotate or whatever? Oh, I could. Okay, so I use my mouse. I know that much. I don't use. What? This is so weird. No, get off. Oh my god. Okay, so this game's so weird. Oh, okay, I can totally tell where this is going. Why am I playing Coil? I thought it was something totally different. Get to the bottom. She would find herself reaching out to others, taking small pieces of them with her as mementos. These are the things she felt were important, the things that made these people significant. Every aspect of her being was composed of others. Her arms grew stronger with every embrace, and lips grew fuller with every kiss. What are you doing, girl? What do I do? What am I doing? Seriously, what am I doing? I just got bigger. Am I like what am I? I'm still questioning on that. What am I? No, get back here. Oh, no, there's more coming in mine. You can take it. Am I feeding myself? I got bigger. I'm like a little small snail. What am I? Am I like an alien? Girl's just like freaking like a prostitute or whatever. I got bigger. She would lead them to him, watching as his hands reached out to pull them away, their essence consumed and nothing remained. She would fantasize what it was like to feel his hands on her body penetrating her and draining her into nothing. I swear this is what the so what do I do? Just what is that? What do I do? Go grab that. No, you want that. Oh wait. Oh, okay. Let's keep it there. What am I doing? Oh, this is gonna disturb me so freaking much. What am I doing? Okay, so I'm going up. It's getting brighter. So I came down, fed off of whatever the heck those little things were, got big enough, and now I'm going back up. And since I'm so big, I'm bumping them away like they're nothing. Oh, please tell me this game isn't long. Oh, this is so weird. Why am I playing this? Well, the better question is, why did I buy this? I just... I guess I just wait. I guess that's all I do is just wait. Wait. Oh! Oh, I could rotate! Oh, so I'm supposed to eat them. That makes so much more sense. Okay. No, so I wanna turn around, suck you guys up. Oh, that is so weird. What the hell is this? What kind of game am I playing? Little kids should not be watching this, so I'm gonna hope little kids are not watching this. But I can't foresee what not to watch. But time did pass. They fell into one another at first glance. Their fingers intertwined as they walked. This wasn't what she was used to, but from here on things wouldn't be the same. And even though the longing lingered for once in her life, she forgot about him. What? I guess I shoot them down? What do I do? Oh. Wait. I don't know. What's going on? After the dust settled and everyone had moved on, once again she was alone and she only had herself to blame. If she had have just embraced her feelings when they called to her, maybe she wouldn't have taken in so many of the things she later grew to hate. And maybe it was time to change, so she closed her eyes, pushing out every aspect of her, and she'd taken it back into a world she never asked to be part of. What are you doing? What is that? So I'm supposed to go up? Oh, what is that? This is so hard to control. Where are you going? I don't even know what those things are. So then what am I supposed to be? She could feel him in the room with her. Her eyes darted around, searching for movement in the darkness, frantic and confused. Her breathing became fast and shallow as her eyes welled up with tears. He was here, and there was nothing she could do to stop him. She was scared of all the things scared of all the things she would be leaving. Scared of how she would be treated, scared of what she had done. As the room grew dim, she could feel his hands reach out for her, touching her in a way that was comforting and familiar. She was leaving. As he picked her up, he pressed his cheek to hers. From here there is nothing, just as it was before. I can't read that. He pressed his cheek to hers. He pressed his cheek to hers like this. Coil. Was that it? Was that it? I guess that was it. Okay. So, fun fact, Coil. A poster for Coil can be seen on the arcade wall in The Binding of Isaac. AVGM has appeared in the AVGM. Coil dev sketches, Coil character sketches, Coil deleted scene. Let's watch this first. Admin talks Coil.
And then around that time was when my stepdad, he got cancer, and then he passed away. I started working on this game called Coil. I was trying to make a game vaguely based around the way my mom was dealing with the death of her husband. And this was a weird one because I was playing, like looking back, it's not a game that I really like that much, but I learned a lot from it. I was playing around with storytelling with abstract gameplay and a parallel story that was text. And I think it just confused people more than anything else.
No crap.
So I had this very vague poem-esque story that was about a woman who was being haunted or followed by this other figure, which was supposed to represent death. She became obsessed with it, and it kind of like ran her into the ground. It was like a downward spiral. But then on the other side, you've got the gameplay is like it goes from like conception to the embryo growing, and then as it grows, and you play through all these different things. And the whole idea of the gameplay was that you weren't instructed on what to do, because that's kind of how life is. You learn more from the experience than you do from being told how to do things.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of the basis of the whole game. It's like, I want to make a game that is based on what I believe is important in life, how important certain things are to experience yourself without somebody holding your hand through them. And that was the game that I got to try that with. And it was weird, and a lot of people seemed to really like it, but it seemed to just kind of fall into that. It was left up to interpretation, and a lot of people interpreted some crazy things out of it, which I thought was cool at the time, but now I look back and I think it was more of a crutch, with me just saying, yeah, you know, whatever you think. Like, sure, that's what it is. I know, I do like elements of it. I feel like I did a pretty good job on it, but in the end it was just another block to the next game, which was Ether.
Ether? Isn't that the next game I'm playing? Isn't that the next game I'm playing? No. But Ether's right there. Okay, so I need to beat Eagle Quiet. That was actually a quick video. How much time do I have left? Oh. Okay, well, that was not that. That was Coil. So apparently that means I finished it. Okay. Hold on. Sketches. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Coil character sketches. That's pretty cool. Q&As.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What your main aim for Coil? Did you want to tell a story or explain something?
I guess I wanted to make something that went beyond what I thought a game was. And this was a long time ago, so like back then, like our games were budding, and like people were trying to do crazy experimental things with games. And I guess this was my attempt at making an experimental game. That's about as far as when it comes to me trying to say something or explain something. I wanted to make an experimental game that had to do with a bunch of different things, like how people learn, life and death, and a little about like my kind of experiences with death and stuff that was kind of going on with me at that time. But it was just me attempting to do something experimental. That was basically it.
In Coil, were there ever any levels or things you had second thoughts about while making the game, and was anything ever removed?
There actually was, like, Coil's development was actually pretty long, and there was a pause in the middle of development where Florian actually had to go to the army. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He had to, like, serve time in the army for quite a few months. And then I guess you do your time and that's it. and he's in Austria. And I think when we originally started it, there was going to be one more phase, which was like the mating phase, which happened second to last, and that got cut because we just couldn't get it to work right, and it seemed like when he got back, we were kind of losing steam on it, so we wanted to kind of just wrap it up. But that was the only reason it got cut. I don't really remember anything else that got cut from it.
Whilst making Isaac, you said you have free reign and made the game exactly what you wanted it to be. You worked on Coil a while before that. At any point did you feel as though it was a bad idea, or that you were worried about offending?
I wasn't worried about offending. I wasn't worried about offending anybody with Coil.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, some people like interpreted the story in a way that was quite odd and maybe could be seen as offensive. I don't know.
Some people are offended by fetuses.
That's true. No, that was never a thought in my mind. This was long before cunt or anything really crazy. Back then, I think it was like 2007. It was probably the craziest thing that I'd done game-wise. I was very inspired and proud of it when I was working on it, but I never at any point thought that, like, I might be doing something that might upset somebody or anything like that. But I mean, I'm sure it did at some point, as most art does. But no, it was never an intention or a thought. And I had free reign to do whatever. It wasn't like I held back at any point or had to stop myself or anything, because I didn't think I was going to really make any money off of it, and I never did. And it was just kind of like a fun experiment.
Was the representation of fetal stages in the game intentional? The story is very vague about it.
Yeah. So the story and the gameplay don't match up at all in a literal sense. You could say that this was like the first time I was experimenting with, I guess you could say abstraction, but like I like to write usually about 2 or 3 different things when I'm like making something. And with Coil, I was kind of writing about my mom dealing with the death of my stepfather, and I wanted to write a story about a woman who was haunted by death, and like that's pretty much what the poem was about, the story, like the written story. And the gameplay was just a sequence of like a timeline of the life of an alien creature from conception to death, and the 2 stories didn't have any literal connection. They just felt right. I basically made the gameplay, the alien part, I made that first, and then I wrote around that, and I just felt like they spoke to each other in some way. And in the end, it probably just confused people more than anything else, but it seemed to make enough sense to me at the time. I mean, of course I got better at doing that later, but it was kind of an experiment, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was playing around with it, and it felt like it seemed appropriate, so I did it. But it didn't really have much of a connection.
Could you explain the story of Coil? I have played the game and read the story, but I don't understand the meaning behind it.
Like I was saying before, I was trying to write a story about a woman obsessed with death, and like death was like an entity that was always around her and kind of haunting her, and it followed her through life, and because she was so obsessed with it, she wasn't able to truly live. Like, she wasn't able to experience life because she was so obsessed with the outcome, which probably goes beyond what I was seeing with my mom, and also delves into my thoughts and feelings about death and, being obsessed with it. But that's kind of what I was going for with the story. I fogged it up enough to confuse the hell out of everyone, and everyone had a bunch of interpretations for the story, and I think initially I was like cool with that, but in the end it was kind of like, I wish I had maybe gone a little bit clearer with it, because maybe I relied too much on people interpreting things. But I don't know, it is what it is.
I thought it was interesting because when I first saw it and I read the whole, because he made it pretty fast, so I spell checked the whole thing. I totally thought it was about me. I thought it was about abortion. and then reading other people's things, they thought it was about rape, and I'm thinking, how do they get rape from that? It's clearly about abortion. And you tell me it's not about any of those.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that in that way, I mean, I like that aspect of it, and I definitely, especially with Isaac, I think I learned a lot with Coil, and I put a lot of like understanding how people can take a story and relate it to themselves enough to make it have a personal effect on them. And with Isaac, I was very conscious of this and tried my best to write a story that had a lot of different meanings, a lot of different interpretations, and how a lot of different people with different experiences could grab one or two things and pull it in, and it means something to them, and then have a story with it as well. But yeah, I did have an intention with Coil that meant something, but I guess in the end, I realized that it didn't really matter how much my intention mattered. I liked that people came up with different interpretations and made it seem special. So I definitely use that and learn from that in other games.
Why did you choose Coil as a name?
Originally, I'm pretty sure the name was like, what is love in Spanish again?
More?
Yeah, it was like Amor de la Muerte, or Amor de la Mor. Yeah, Amor de la Muerte, like love of death, or
More de la Muerte?
yeah. But
I don't remember.
that was what the original name was, Love of Death. But I thought that was contrived. I thought I was already reaching. I thought it was like a bit too much. So I decided to just go with Coil because it looked nice when I wrote it. And I liked the idea of the whole mortal coil, and I like the circularness of a coil and the circularness of the game, and I tend to, in a lot of my games, have like a circular connection. Everything's a circle, and I like the idea of a coil, so I named it Coil.
I was gonna make a joke about you being Mexican, but I lost it.
I'm a bad Mexican if I can't even
Couldn't
translate
even
that.
name your game something in Spanish.
Yeah, I failed.
I think Coil was the first really serious game you made at that time. Not just about the game, I'm talking about the concept in general. Did it change the way you look at making games at that time till this day?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was like, of all the games in the pack, Coil was the game I learned the most from, and I learned the most from it from doing it. You know, the actual experience of making it and experimenting with a bunch of different things. You know, it's cringeworthy to me still looking back. It's like, ugh. It seems so obvious that I'm trying new things, and I know how important that is. Like, in a lot of ways, Coil was a bit of a failure to me because I felt like it came out contrived and just too much. I don't know, but it's not that bad. But I learned a lot from it. Like, I learned a lot from it that I use in everything I do now. Like, I learned abstract storytelling. I learned how people read things and how people understand things, and how to write in a way that allows for interpretation enough for people to like seep into it a bit and make it their own. And just abstraction overall, I learned a lot from it. I mean, it was the first game that I made that was really weird. Like, I went from doing very traditional arcadey games like Serious Pea-Shy and Weltling and Dumpling and very arcadey, high scores type games. And then, like, out of the blue, I do this game that's totally fucking weird. And it was a giant stepping stone. So yeah, I learned a great deal from it for sure. It was a pivotal moment, I guess, in my career, where I felt like I could do something new and learned a lot from the experience. Experimentation's important, even if you fail with it.
Coil was one of the first actual free games I remember ever finding on Steam. I remember it was up as a demo. How did that come about, getting Coil on Steam?
Yeah, not many people realize Coil is on Steam.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's totally there still. I think it says it's a demo still, though. But that was because Coil got into the IGF finals in 2008, I believe. And because it got into the finals, Steam actually was supporting the IGF at that point. And I think it was, it wasn't winners. It was beforehand. I think they asked to showcase games that are featured. and not many of the games were finished or freeware, and Coil was one of few, and I just basically handed them the game and then they put it up.
And sometimes games aren't finished when they enter the IGF.
Yeah, that's weird.
Sometimes when they win, they're not finished.
Sometimes they're still not finished now.
Sometimes they will never be finished.
That happens.
What was your initial idea for the narrative mechanics and how they would interact with each other?
Well, I explained the narrative, but I did try to also write in a way that was an instruction. I think you can still see it. Like every little bit of story tells a story, but also gives you a hint on kind of what you need to do. Like it'll tell you to like maybe the second one's about separation, when you're separating the cells and stuff like that, or maybe the other one, I think one of them was about consuming other people in the story, and like in the game you're trying to consume pieces of other people. Like there was a tie-in that acted as instruction that I attempted to do. It was a very conscious thing, but that's about as far as it went. Like I tried to connect the dots a bit.
Where do you get your inspiration for your creatures' designs, such as the ones used in Coil?
Well, Coil comes from a combination of a jellyfish and a fetus. That's it. That's it. I grew up in Santa Cruz, and we have, well, like I mentioned in the ether commentary thing, like I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was little, and I was obsessed with like tide pools and stuff. Like over here there's minus tides and the tide recedes. There's like all these rock formations that have a bunch of little pools where all the little sea life is caught in them when the tide goes down, and you can go and actually like interact with them, pick them up and whatever else. And I loved that stuff. I loved all the little creatures. One of the reasons I like Pokemon so much too. Like I like a lot of different types of creatures, and I tend to like the really weird fleshy ones. And sea life was a huge inspiration, I guess, creatively when I was little. And when I got older, fetuses and that sort of stuff became inspiring. So I think it was just a combination of the two. I tend to do that a lot. Weird creatures combined with decaying things or fetuses or genitals. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing in a tide pool?
Well, I like octopuses, but they're really rare. I mean, I like all the weird stuff like chitons, gumboot chitons, and weird little fish and stuff, or like flatworms and nautiluses and all that. The rare stuff.
Did we pull apart mussels and feed the anemones?
Yeah.
I like to poke the anemones until they squirt.
I like to poke girls till they squirt.
What?
Why you don't like Coil anymore? And I suppose what you liked about it when you made it.
I don't like Coil anymore because it's not good. Maybe it's good to you. It's not great to me. It's just like it's like a sketch in a lot of ways. Like it was a sketch, and sometimes when you sketch stuff, it looks bad, and you're not really happy about it because you kind of just learn from it and move on. But in that respect, it's harder for me to like it, like because I just see it sometimes, and it's like the poetry is cringeworthy, and a whole lot of other aspects are just like, why did I do that? Like, why did I make those choices? But and that's why I don't like it now. I liked it when I was doing it. Yeah, I thought it was cool when I was doing it, and shortly after, I was like, that's usually how it works with everything.
Do you think Miyamoto has games like that he looks back at?
I don't know.
With Zelda, he thinks there should have been instructions.
Yeah, I do
Zelda.
wonder that actually.
Why wasn't there
I
a
heard
tutorial?
Zelda.
Yeah, there's always the danger of going too far when, sometimes the rough stuff has a lot of beauty to it that has that magic, and you don't want to polish things too far. Like it's very instinctive to continue to polish something until it's perfect, but it's very important to have flaws in your work and all those, rough parts, because that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it feel more raw and easier to connect to, I think, which is I guess the opposite direction Nintendo head down when they approach new games. They just want it to be as polished as hell. But you know,
Well said. Is there any specific reason why you gave no directions for how to play Coil?
I give no directions for how to play Coil because the whole game was supposed to be based around the idea of experience and how important it is to experience things yourself, like firsthand, and it solve problems yourself without that much instruction. I mean, a lot of it was a mistake, and I learned from those mistakes. Like the whole point of like when you start the game, you've got a start screen with no buttons on it, and that was like the first thing. I was like, I want a barrier of entry here where the only people that get to play this game are going to be people who can kind of solve this puzzle and think outside the box when they are starting it. And the whole thing is like, there's nothing on the screen except for a circle with arrows going around them. Like it seems pretty easy. Like you have the impulse to swirl around the circle with your cursor, and when you do, you start the game. And I thought, that'll be it. Like that'll be the barrier of entry. That'll just knock out all the people who wouldn't really be there to play something experimental. But sadly, a lot of people did it subconsciously and didn't know they did it, so they got stuck on like the next poem screen or whatever else, and then just write in the comments how the game sucks because you can't get past the next screen, and that was a huge mistake. But at the time, it sounded like a really smart thing to do, but in the end, I don't think I had enough experience with people playing my games and seeing through the eyes of other people, so I didn't really think it through enough to make it good. But the whole idea of it was about the learning experience. Like you live life and how important it is to actually do things, with your hands and with your mind without somebody holding them and telling you what to do, and how valuable those things are over, and people just giving you all the instructions and telling you exactly how to live your life. But yeah.
You have come such a long way in your design of like difficulty curves, because I remember sitting at the same desk that I sat and play tested Super Meat Boy, where you would see things that were too difficult and too frustrating, and I remember sitting at the same desk and playing Coil and not having a fucking clue what to do and how to go on, and you still kept it in there.
Yeah.
You learned nothing from that.
Well, that's one of the hardest things to shed when you're working, is like the idea that
You'd have to change something like that.
well, more the idea that it's just a simple realization that nobody else sees things exactly how you do.
Yeah.
And how you see things actually might be a minority of people that see things that way. So when a majority of people aren't able to understand what the hell you're doing something wrong, and it's too hard, when you're early on as an artist, to accept that you've done something wrong, and other people need to, you have the tendency to be like, those idiots, they need to learn. It's not my fault that the game isn't functioning the way I intended. It's everybody else's fault. It's a knee-jerk reaction, I think, to people just starting out, and I definitely had a bit of that when I did too, and I got frustrated when people got stuck certain places. But with time, you realize that you're not perfect, and you need to learn. And Coil was a learning process in a lot of bad ways, but of course it was all good.
It's the first step in getting good at something.
Yes.
What chose you to want to go with a port? What chose you to want to go with a poetry format for the narrative of the game?
I don't know. I was dumb. I think I mentioned before that I wanted it to be
emo.
I wanted it to be read like, I originally wanted it to be a woman's voice, like narrating it, because I wanted there to be some sort of emotional connection to it, and I thought that since I wasn't able to do that, that written text could have that impact, because poetry has that impact. When you read it, you can get goosebumps from poetry and stuff like that. And I thought it was the closest thing to somebody actually narrating, so that's why I did it, but it wasn't good. No.
No.
Those
No.
are all the questions about Coil.
Thank you for asking me them.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm gonna go over here.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so that was I like that ending. That was the Q&A for Coil. Yeah, so I'm gonna end the video. In the next one, I will play the other one. So yeah, I will see you recruits in the next one. Bye.